Hello, hello. What's going on, everyone out there? Hope you're having a nice, relaxing Sunday. Maybe hanging back, enjoying some football, maybe. Just relaxing. Relaxing and definitely staying safe and hanging out. In case you didn't want to watch Sunday Night Football, 'cause let's be honest, last week's game was a little boring. Here I am. Thanks for joining me. But yeah, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Maybe give me a little like. I'd very much appreciate it. Got 130 subscribers now. Very excited about that. So thank you so much, everyone out there who has subscribed to my little YouTube channel. Today's show, I will be enjoying a nice Shiner holiday chair, getting into that holiday spirit. Because, hey, it might be a little bit of a different holiday season, but we should still enjoy it responsibly. And today's show is a little bit different, obviously. It's going to be a bit of a solo show. But I haven't done a solo show in a while, so hopefully you like it and it goes good. But the first story that I wanted to talk about today, and again, if you haven't already, go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. I would very, very much appreciate it. But if you are, like many of us, trying to, adjust to the new normal, it's not breaking news that it's not going so well for some folks out there. This whole adjusting to the new virtual meetings and this virtual world is proven pretty hard for some folks.
Has very high standards and like good standards in terms of things, and that oftentimes
that's how it's going to be. Let's make sure everybody has clothes on.
Flirting with other bitches during class. Yeah, whatever.
Guys, we can hear your conversation and we don't want to.
Can I actually hop off this call since I'm not on this account?
It's no problem.
Okay,
Go ahead, Sean.
We started this quarter off at 2.75%.
Holy shit.
Daniel.
God. I don't think he's
Daniel.
January.
Oh
Can you
my
back for us?
Daniel.
Daniel.
Call Mika.
Oh my God.
You call Daniel on his cell. Call Daniel on his cell.
Oh,
How do we turn this feed off?
shit.
Wow.
We can't.
Oh, hell no.
Daniel.
Now, I heard that last clip might be fake. I actually really hope it is. I don't know, because I feel very bad for Daniel there. But if there's one company that is having a particularly hard time adjusting, it's the cable news network, also known as CNN.
All right, so we do have some bad news for Jeffrey Toobin. If you don't know who he is CNN's chief legal analyst. He's also a reporter for The New Yorker. Toobin allegedly exposed himself on a Zoom call with his colleagues last week, and as a result, he's been suspended by the magazine and is on leave from CNN after he asked for some time off.
Yep, some much needed time off, I'm sure. And now the head of the network is finding himself in a little bit of a sticky situation as well.
You're unmuted. Hey, Jeff Zucker, you there? Hey, yes. This is James O'Keefe. We've been listening to your CNN calls for basically 2 months, recording everything. Just wanted to ask you some questions if you have a minute. Do you still feel you're the most trusted name in news? Because I have to say, from what I've been hearing on these phone calls, I don't know about that.
That is James O'Keefe, the leader of the Project Veritas, calling Jeff Zucker, the head of CNN, to tell him that he's been secretly recording their morning meetings for the last 2 months. And I'm like, who would have thought that the Tobin masturbation thing would only be the second most embarrassing thing to happen to CNN this year? But to be honest with you, I don't think this is as big of a story as, some conservatives out there might want it to be. Now, Keefe says he's releasing a clip a day until Christmas, his, weird way of doing an advent calendar. And so far, he's released a lot of stuff that doesn't really seem too damning.
Trump has used the communism, socialism rhetoric as part of his hook for the Cubans in Miami, how that has resonated and how the Biden team has not done enough to counter that. This is all that the only reason they are supporting Trump is because of that narrative. And that narrative and the fact that, sadly, I have to say, there's a population that is very attracted to bullies, and no one is countering it properly. In Florida, the Cubans are going to vote for Trump, and that's terrifying. And so I think that there is a way to counter the narrative in Florida that is not being taken advantage of.
Now, that can seem, pretty damning there, but this shouldn't be breaking news to you, and I shouldn't have to break this to you, but journalists, they have an opinion. I have an opinion. I'm allowed to have an opinion. Journalists aren't robots. They're people just like you and I, right? And in that clip, she's talking about Trump trying to make Biden look like a socialist, which he definitely did, and he was very effective in doing, and that's what kind of turned a lot of Cuban Americans towards Trump and away from Biden. And it's not a fact that, hey, Biden is not a socialist. He is very much not a socialist. So the fact that they're talking about it casually on a call really isn't that shocking to me. And maybe these tapes don't meet your level of journalistic integrity, but, attack them on air for their actual coverage, not just behind the scenes gossip. I mean, is it any secret that these highly educated people with lots of degrees and who have, traveled the country meeting all types of different folks are privately not a fan of the guy who's trying to pull off like a slow-moving coup right now? I mean, is that really shocking to anyone out there? And I mean, seriously, one of these bombshell revelations is that Jeff Zucker reportedly, I don't know if it's true, but he thinks Rudy Giuliani is crazy.
Did you ask the Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden?
No, actually, I didn't. I asked the Ukraine to investigate the allegations that there was interference in the election of 2016 by the Ukrainians for the benefit of Hillary Clinton, for which there already is a court finding.
You never asked anything about Hunter Biden. You never asked anything about Joe Biden.
The only thing I asked about
prosecutor.
Joe Biden is to get to the bottom of how it was that Lutsenko, who was appointed, dismissed the case against Antak.
So you did ask Ukraine to look into Joe Biden?
Of course I did.
You just said you didn't.
I'm getting a headache.
Just his version of the truth, not the truth.
Truth is truth. I don't mean to go like...
No, it isn't truth. Truth isn't truth.
Truth isn't truth. This is going to become a
Wait,
bad meme.
Don't do this to me.
Not Rudy. Not Rudy. I mean, that guy doesn't look crazy to you? Seriously. Rudy Giuliani doesn't seem crazy? I mean, that is this shocking revelation from Project Veritas that Giuliani that Zucker thinks Giuliani is crazy? I mean, yeah, I'm shocked, right? And the thing is about this story, this Project Veritas story, is that we have to look at where this information is actually coming from and their track record.
I'm going to throw a number out. I would say it's probably anywhere from $30 to $100, depending on the facility and what's involved.
The $30 to $100 price, that's per.
So before Project Veritas was made famous for these undercover sting videos of CNN, they did a bunch of sting videos of Planned Parenthood, accusing them of selling fetuses and organs for medical research. But, as you saw that clip before, these clips are very edited, and it's very important what they actually leave out.
Every provider has had patients who want to donate their tissue, and they absolutely want to come. I'm going to throw a number out. I would say it's probably anywhere from $30 to $100, depending on the facility and what's involved. And it just has to do with space issues. Are you sending someone there that's going to be doing everything, or is their staff going to be doing it? What exactly are they going to be doing? Is there shipping involved? Is somebody coming to pick it up? For affiliates, the end of the day, they're a nonprofit.
So that's the thing with the organ selling kind of controversy. They weren't selling these organs to make a profit. I mean, obviously it seems a little icky, a little weird there, but they're just trying to not lose money doing it. There's a very big difference between trying to make a profit and operating a nonprofit where you don't have a ton of money to throw around anyway. And the thing with, groups like Project Veritas is they have one mission, and that's to make you believe what they want you to believe. And they'll do anything to do it. You might listen to these tapes and think there's some horrible things on there and say that isn't journalism, and that's not right. You know, they might listen to the CNN tapes and think, okay, maybe they shouldn't be saying these things, and, you know, it calls into question their journalistic integrity. But if CNN, if that isn't journalism, then what the hell is Project Veritas? You know? But let me know what you think, right? Let me know what you think of these stories, what you think of these tapes. Again, they're going to come out, steadily up until Christmas, so there's going to be a lot more revelations to come out. But yeah, leave a comment. Let me know what you're thinking about this. Take a quick little break. And so for our next story, it's a little bit of a doozy. It's a little out there. But if you haven't already, go ahead and like the channel. Maybe give me a little subscribe. I would very, very much appreciate it. And I appreciate all the subscribers out there. Thank you so much. So, you know, a couple weeks before the election, it seemed like, Trump was already saying the election. Actually, let me start that over again. Sorry. Hey, if you haven't already, go ahead and like the channel. Maybe give me a little subscribe. I would very, very much appreciate it. So for weeks before the election, Trump was already saying it was going to be rigged and stolen by the Democrats and their fraudulent mail-in voting. You know, he was looking at the polls and thinking ahead and, trying to figure out, what do I do if I actually lost the election? How do I undermine this thing? That's right. Trump's kind of been planning this the whole time. And, the thing I'm wondering about is that you think if he'd planned this, you'd think it'd go a lot smoother, right? The whole Maga world seems to be very confused. One part of the country, they're yelling this. Stop that count! Stop that count! Stop that count! Stop that count! And in other parts of the country, they're yelling something a little different. And now, if it seemed like they were a little confused on, the direction of the campaign and what they should be doing now, it's only gotten worse. Watch this.
Where's David Perdue? He ought to be standing right here. Those two people want your vote, then they ought to tell you what we're telling Brian Kemp. Get a special session of the legislature now. Do not be fooled twice. This is Georgia. We ain't dumb. We're not going to go vote on January 5th in another machine made by China. You're not going to fool Georgians again. If Kelly Loeffler wants your vote, if David Perdue wants your vote, they've got to earn it. If Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue do not do it, they have not earned your vote. Don't you give it to them. Why would you go back and vote in another rigged election? For God's sakes, fix it.
Yes, why would you go back and vote in another rigged election? Gotta fix it. Now, Trump supporters are trying to stop the steal, are now demanding that their Republican voters refuse to participate in another rigged election and not vote for Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue in next month's runoff. Which is a little strange. It's a little, doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it does complete another one of Trump's campaign promises, and that's not to be a traditional politician. I mean, this is crazy even for him, right? Even for some of his supporters. Like, I've seen a lot of political campaigns shoot themselves in the foot, but this is new. This is something very different. And I think it shows something very important about these Trump supporters, right? It kind of helps to get an idea of what they're really thinking and really what they really care about. And it's not about conservatism or the Republican Party. It's about Trump. That's all they care about. That's all that really matters to them. Like if they really were against all these things that Trump's really talking about, then they would do anything to make sure that Democrats don't control the Senate. But no, it's really about keeping Trump in office. That's what they really care about, right? And so yes, Republicans, Trump supporters, stay home. Don't vote. Stop the steal before the steal, right? And give Joe Biden that Democratic Senate that you all claim to be so worried about. But hey, let me know what you think, right? Leave me some comments. I'm sure there's a couple folks out there who maybe disagree. It's funny. I've noticed I've gotten a lot of negative comments for a couple videos where I'm talking about Trump and the election and all this stuff. It seems like conservatives are a little mad about something. Just maybe. But that brings me to my next story. Something I'm maybe actually a little bit mad about. That conservatives, they might actually agree with me on this. We'll see. I'm not keeping not across my fingers. But if I've said it once, I've said it again. If you haven't already, maybe give the channel a little subscribe, a little like. I would very much appreciate it. We're rocking and rolling here, and I appreciate all the support out there. So this week, actress Ellen Paige has decided to become Elliot Paige after announcing his transition on Twitter. And first of all, I just want to say I think this is a great thing, right? I'm very happy for Elliot, and we're all Americans. Whether you're on the left or the right, or how you feel politically, we should all support the basic rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And trans rights are indeed human rights. So cheers to Elliot. But I did have one problem with this that I wanted to talk about. So my wife, little backstory here. My wife created a very nice post on her Facebook page about the transition and was immediately attacked for using Elliot's dead name. And I'd never heard of this concept, right? I never heard of this concept with this dead name thing. And so when someone transitions, their previous name becomes their dead name. And someone corrected my wife, or sent her a message and said, hey, you better take that down, and saying that it's not right to use the dead name. And I'll be honest with you, when I first heard that, my first thought was, this is why Donald Trump is the president of the United States. Yes, I'm sorry, but wokeism and cancel culture is out of control. No disrespect to Elliot or any other trans folks out there, but you got to give people a little time to understand and process some of these things, right? We're on your side, but, it can get a little confusing at times, right? Like, you might accidentally, you want to show support to someone. Obviously, Elliot Paige has been known by Ellen her whole life, and the fans just want to support Elliot, right? So, you shouldn't be attacking people, right, for using that name. And a lot of times, these things kind of happen, and it's like you take people who could be allies and you turn them into enemies. And my favorite comedian, Jim Jeffries, actually put it pretty well.
This is the thing about being progressive and being woke and all that fucking bullshit, right? The young generations, the millennials, what you're missing out on is, right, that let old people be fucking old, right? They'll be dead soon enough, right? Stop fucking making everyone move as fast as you're fucking moving, right? People are trying.
Yes, people are trying. And maybe, old folks aren't adapting to things as fast as we want them to. Trust me, there's a lot of things that I wish would change in this world. But hate isn't the answer, right? And again, you take someone that could be an ally and you turn them into an enemy. Another kind of instance where I've seen this that I wanted to talk about was a tweet from Ellen DeGeneres. And this was before the controversy came out about her show, and maybe it's not a very fun working environment. But Ellen tweeted after the George Floyd murder, like so many of you, I am angry and I am sad. People of color in this country have faced injustice for far too long. That tweet pissed off a lot of her fans who attacked her for not saying Black Lives. which is kind of bullshit, right? She was trying to defend. She wasn't trying to offend people or belittle the Black Lives Matter movement. She wasn't trying to, throw shade. She wasn't trying to attack people or make people feel less than. She was literally trying to show her support for change, right? She was trying to use her massive, massive platform and in some ways put her own self at risk of people being offended by what she said, and went out on a limb to say, hey, this is something we have to change. And all she got was hate in return. And that's not right. I want change as much as anyone. I mean, look at me. I love hoodies. I can't wear them anymore. I get pulled over, and I worry about it every time, and that shit ain't right. But attacking people because they aren't on your level of wokeness isn't right either. And all it's doing is helping give more support to people who say Democrats and liberals are nuts. And I assume that's not what they want to do. That's not what they want to happen, right? So, I'm sure I get a lot of comments about this one, but let me know what you think, right? What do you think about the transition of Ellen to Elliot Paige? What do you think of wokeism, of cancel culture, and, what it's kind of doing to our country, right? So, that kind of brings me to another story that kind of brings up some similar things with the idea of cancel culture and stuff going on. But, again, if you haven't already, go ahead and give me a like, maybe subscribe, and thanks so much for watching this video, and check out some more on my channel. So, COVID has taken a lot of stuff from us. Jobs, housing, and for 270,000 Americans, their lives. But one thing people were determined not to lose was college football.
We are joined now exclusively by Ohio State quarterback Justin Fields, who started an online petition Sunday titled "We Want to Play," asking the Big Ten to reinstate the 2020 football season. It already has over 270,000 signatures.
After months and months of back and forth kind of, negotiations or whatever, trying to figure out all the health protocols, the SEC, Big 12, and ACC kicked off their seasons and were eventually joined by the Big 10 and Pac-12. So all the Power 5 conferences are on the field. But some teams probably wish the season hadn't started at all, including Vanderbilt, which started off the season 0-7, and then hit another snag when they lost all of their kickers and all of their roster to COVID-19. They were sick, not dead. I want to make sure I throw that in there. They were just positive, or with the contact tracing, they couldn't play. And so they turned to one of the best legs on campus.
She could put a goal kick past midline. So, I mean, that's over 50 yards, 50, 60 yards.
Her skill as a goalkeeper in soccer is undoubtable. And she made her name at Vanderbilt University, and they just won the SEC championship.
Yes, Sarah Fuller, who, again, just helped the 7th-ranked Commodores win 3-1 to claim their first SEC tournament title since 1994, was asked to help out the football team. She agreed, and history was made.
And the kick down at the 35-yard line, and Sarah Fuller.
Now, for those of you out there who maybe don't know football as well, that's called a skib kick, and it's an intentional kick to make sure that there is no return, right? And former NFL punter Pat McAfee had a great breakdown of the kick, tweeting, "Didn't go OB, out of bounds, didn't give up a touchdown, gave zero chance for return, and set up a D. Congrats to @Sarah Fuller for being the first woman ever to kick a kickoff of a Power 5 game. Incredibly rare to be the first person to do anything these days. This is really cool." Vanderbilt would go on to, unfortunately, lose that game 41-0 and drop to an embarrassing 0-8. But what they should really be embarrassed about, what should really make them a national embarrassment, if true, is word that several players are so angry that Sarah Fuller, again, champion Sarah Fuller, who just won a championship and SEC title, had the audacity to give a halftime speech to this 0-8 team and try to tell him how they need to come together. And now, the rumor is that they are refusing to finish the season because of this. Because a kicker and a woman who, again, just won a championship had the audacity to call out the winless team at halftime. Now, if this is true, it is toxic masculinity at its finest. And again, let's not forget that they asked her to come play for them because all their kickers were quarantined or had the coronavirus. They asked her. Now, right now, these are all just unconfirmed rumors, and I'm actually really hoping that this isn't true, but there seems to be a lot of talk about it out there.
You gave a speech at halftime when they're getting blown out? Come on now. That had to offend a lot of guys in that locker room. And apparently it did. Because Outkick is reporting that some players have talked about opting out of the season finale versus Georgia.
Players in Vanderbilt, the guys who have been there, the guys who didn't come on the team on Monday and kick on a Saturday, are now feeling a little bit disrespected. And I don't blame them. Just my thought. That's how I feel about it. Ain't no kicker going to come in and tell me that we're not playing hard.
We had reports that a lot of players were basically said, we're walking out, we're done, we're not going to have this nonsense, we're not going to be a part of this nonsense.
Not going to be a part of this nonsense. Just a lot of bullshit. Now, players could also be reacting to the fact that their coach was fired, which to me actually seems more likely than them being so angry about Fuller joining the team. But if it is true, they don't deserve to be on the same field as Sarah Fuller. What is definitely true about this is that there are a lot of assholes out there attacking Fuller, saying they hope she gets leveled or knocked out of the game. And I'm like, for what? For helping the team out? I mean, for making sure that they can actually play and didn't have to forfeit their game? But yeah, let's take a look at some of the comments that have been thrown out there about this, right? JB Carpenter says, let her play, but don't let up if she muffs that kick and tries to grab it. LOL, knock her cleats off. Will Fuller says he can't stop laughing at this and hope Fuller Will Cup says he can't stop laughing at this and hopes Fuller made some cookies too. Steve Allen asks, any leaked nudes? Real classy, Steve. But his comment isn't the classiest on this thread from SportsCenter, as Joe Masacco, whoever, I don't care who you are, but he says and asks, gangbang in the locker room? Now, I can't help but read some of these comments and get a very clear picture of why 1 in 5 women will be raped in their lives and 1 in 4 face domestic abuse. I mean, there's just a lot of shitty people out there, apparently. And a lot of these dude bros are just raging because Sarah actually won a couple of awards for her performance. One was a courageous award for taking the field in general, which has a lot of these dude bros thrown out. Yeah, there's a lot of large guys out there, and she took the field anyway and helped out this team when she obviously didn't have to, and that takes courage. But a lot of dude bros, hey, they're pissed that she got honored for that. And they're also raging because Sarah apparently won a Player of the Week award for her performance, which, honestly, I didn't know she'd won. But I guess it's the first time in the history of football or awards that someone won something that you maybe think they didn't deserve, and it's driving you crazy. And really, I think these guys who claim to be men are just a little bunch of little boys that are mad that they have to now share their little football, right? And I love football, and I've been watching it my whole life. I'm a huge fan, and so I was just real disappointed to see how other football fans react to this story, and the idea of them possibly walking out just really pissed me off. But again, I don't know if the Vanderbilt story is true. I hope it's not true, but as with anything, we'll just have to see what happens. But what do you think about this? I bet there's a lot of dude bros out there that are going to write some angry comments, and I do not care what you think. But hey, let me know. Let me know what you think about this. I'd be very happy to call out your toxic masculinity. You guys are just pigs who are attacking this woman for taking the field to help out her university when she absolutely doesn't have to. Bunch of bullshit. So, well, there were some good games on this weekend. I did enjoy some good college football this weekend. So for our next story, start something here. Hey, I've said it once, I've said it many times, but hey, do me a favor. Go ahead, like the channel. Maybe give me a little subscribe, sign up for notifications so you can keep up with Citizen Pete. Very much appreciate it, and it is very nice to have so much support out there. Thank you so much. And so there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there about the coronavirus. There's 5G. There's that China helped make the virus in the lab. That Trump is going to save us all, or that it'll just magically appear one day. But according to the Department of Defense, one conspiracy theory about the coronavirus might actually be true. According to CNN, them and their ads, their pop-up ads, CNN is saying, according to CNN, vaccine cards will soon be issued with everyone who receives the coronavirus vaccine. Dr. Kelly Moore, Associate Director of the Immunization Auction Coalition, which is a big title, supports the frontline workers is supporting the frontline workers who administer the COVID-19 vaccines. And she said everyone will be issued a written card that they can put in their wallet, and that will tell them what they had when their next dose is going to be, right? She said, let's do this simple. Easy things first. Everyone's going to get that. So here's the deal with the vaccine itself. To kind of explain this a little bit, one of the vaccines, you need 2 doses 2 weeks apart, right? So really this is going to help them keep track of who needs that dose when. But for a lot of folks out there, a lot of folks who are worried about the vaccine cards, they are absolutely, definitely coming, for sure. And it could be used to see who has and who hasn't taken the vaccine. Now, according to CNN, the CDC did not immediately respond to CNN's inquiry about whether such a database would, if they were going to make a database that would include a record of everyone immunized, right? They didn't know if they're going to create a statewide or nationwide database to keep track of who has had it and who hasn't. And a lot of people are a little worried about the safety of this vaccine and whether or not it was rushed. So who knows if everyone will take it. I mean, honestly, I think it's safe, but I have some reservations myself. I saw the movie with Will Smith that everyone takes the cancer vaccine. I'm trying to remember the name of it. The one was his dog there. But it's this vaccine was definitely created at warp speed. It was very fast, so I get some folks being a little worried about it. But according to this article, right? The government, they want at least some identification that you did take the vaccine. And so far, the government has said there will not be a mandatory, taking the vaccine itself won't be mandatory. Dr. Fauci said, you don't want to mandate and try to force anyone to take that vaccine. We've never done that. You can mandate for certain groups of people like health workers, but for the general population, you cannot. He also said, we don't want to be mandating from the federal government to the general population. It would be unenforceable and not appropriate. I was going to think about doing a Fauci voice there, but his voice is hard, man, and it's very tricky. But he is right. It would not be enforceable, right? With current law, I mean, there's some debate about this, but they can't mandate vaccines legally, right? It would take a very interesting decision from the Supreme Court for them to actually do that. But I do wonder with these cards, could a business require you to show one to be allowed in? Can an airline require you to have one before you can board a flight? that would be legal. Those are things that they can do. Businesses have a right to refuse service to you for a lot of different reasons, right? And so we're gonna have to wait and see what actually happens with this, but it's definitely a very interesting development for sure. But what do you think? Yeah, what do you think about the COVID vaccine? Are you gonna take it? Are you not gonna take it? Why not? Or why would you take it? Or why both ways? Leave me a comment and let me know. So that brings me to another. Oh, let me restart something here real quick. That brings me to our next and last story of the night. Hope you're having a good time and enjoying the show. And if you are, hey, maybe do me a favor. Maybe like and subscribe to the channel. Would very much appreciate it. It would be very cool. You might not be a subscriber now, but it'd be much cooler if you were. And as I've said before on this channel, there are a lot of conspiracy theories about the coronavirus pandemic. And to be honest with you, that makes a ton of sense. People use conspiracy theories to explain away things that don't make sense, right? And we've been doing it since the beginning of time. You might feel enlightened out there. We might feel enlightened with the internet and the easy access of information. But there's still a lot of people out there that think the Earth is still flat. In 2020. There's the more information out there, unfortunately, there's a lot of people who want to take advantage of that information, use it for their own purposes, or just try to explain away things that might make sense to everyone else, but not to them. And now there's people out there who think all this death and destruction isn't caused by the coronavirus. No, it's that 5G.
We've got LED street lights in Gateshead with 5G technology attached to it. We've got children bleeding from the nose. We've got people being sick. We've got people dying. Transmitter on the top of that street light.
Where's that?
That's it there.
It's an area on top of a lamp.
This is bigger than the Holocaust. If anybody thinks that this is going to kill 6 million, think again. This is going to kill billions.
Yes. So how do we stop this 5G invasion from destroying our way of life? Well, apparently a few pioneers, a few geniuses and really pioneers of our time went on Amazon and bought some 5G internet blockers for their home routers. Yes, if you want to stop that 5G, you got to stop it from home, right? And so on Amazon right now for the low cost of $89, you can get yourself your own 5G blocker. But unfortunately, not everyone is happy with their purchase. Oops, some ads there. I gotta scroll through. There we go. Oh, so let me find it here. Oops, sorry, technical difficulties. But yeah, some people are complaining that this is not working, right? Some people are a little unhappy with their 5G blockers. One verified review that I cannot find now says the box does work at keeping radiation in, but also Wi-Fi is not working in every room unless you're in the same room as your router. It decreases the signal by 90%. And we really want to like it, but, again, it's impossible to use our phones in any other room of the house. Also, the seller keeps the shipping fee of $25, and that was annoying, which I get it. Again, that came from a verified review. So someone actually bought this box. And now she's mad that this box is actually stopping her from getting internet signals and is blocking the internet itself. And so if there's one thing I've learned during this entire pandemic, it's that people are far dumber than I originally gave them credit for. And to be honest, I kind of feel bad for this person. Not only do they believe the crazy, theories about 5G and all that stuff, and they got scammed, and they really just bought this thing, which it really, it's just a metal box, right? And in a lot of ways, they scammed themselves. But hey, this did make me think, Christmas is coming up, and if you're looking for that perfect gift for the conspiracy theorist in your family, let me recommend the Router Guard. For just $89.99, you can protect your entire family, not just from 5G, but from the entire internet itself, right? You can protect them. You should, this is perfect for Christmas, right? Now, normally I'd ask people to comment, let me know what you think. But if you got one of these boxes, you're probably not watching this anyway. You don't have internet. But if you do have internet, leave me a comment and let me know what you think. Well, everybody, that is the show for me. It's been nice hanging out. I'm definitely still loving doing the show, but I got some football to watch. As always, thanks for watching Citizen Pete, and I will check you guys next time.